I zoom in on the date here. That's 1841, because I found it. This is the old schoolhouse. And I wasn't even looking for it. There can't be much vandalism in Glynde. I've just found the toilets not only open, but clean. Now, welcome to Wharf Cottage. Wharf, I hear you say? No, I'm not talking about a certain Klingon warrior from Star Trek. Wharf Cottage. Because Glynde was once, I won't say at the seaside because that would be lying, but the river up to here was tidal and quite wide. And there were wharves here because coal needed to be brought in. Why coal? And here's where the story of the pits really begins. Because in conjunction with the opening of Brigden's and the Balkan pit, which we'll come to shortly, and Glyndebourne pit. There's a train just coming into the station. We have intertwined with the history of this part of the empire of the Portland Cement Company, which required lime, road building, cement, concrete, all that kind of guff. And the only way they could get it, as soon as they got interested in the lime and converting the chalk to lime, the Glynde estates leased all the pits to a Lewis lime burning company. Now, can you just imagine this river being much wider than it was and tidal? And there were wharves here because in order to make the lime, obviously you needed to burn the chalk, turn it into lime. But the furnaces needed coal. The coal came up from the coast, up on the river on the high tide, here to Glynde, and to the wharves. When you look at this now and you think, that's almost unbelievable, isn't it? But you see that floodplain over there. I mean, the river would have been much wider than this at that time. There's nothing left here really to show for them. Maybe those buildings there are to do with it, but I mean by the sort of 1920s, 1930s, that had all gone. Because the problem was here, being that this river was tidal, there wasn't a fast enough flow to make power for some of these businesses in that round here, so there was an awful lot of windmills. And they would give the power to drive the machinery, which was used in connection with all of this business. But it was the coal that was needed to fire the furnaces. The one little landing stage there. I don't think that's been around since the time of the wharves. But of course, having made the lime, it had to get out, didn't it? And I'm going to go down and have a look at Glynde Station now, because you probably find this hard to believe. There were once 3 lines, all converging on Glynde Station in connection with, well, 2 of them in connection with the chalk and the lime, and the 3rd was in connection with a deposit of galt clay that they found out on the reaches on the left, and the Glynde reaches just beyond where we can see the river going. And that was first connected to the station by a very, very interesting, you can't really call it a railway line, you can't call it a cable tramway. It was known as the Glynde Telferage system, and this was very, very unique. I'll try and do a diagram of it, or show you a diagram of it later on in this video. But there were steel rods laid almost as if they were tram lines on posts 18 foot high, right across where you can see in front of us there, right the way over that bit there and over the river. It lasted about a mile, and it was very unique because those rods not only held the suspended, actually a locomotive plus wagons, but it also provided the electric current. And so it was the locomotives that actually pulled the wagons. And this was very unique. I'm not sure whether it's the only one ever built in the world, but certainly, as I don't know, the only one I found out in England. I need to do a bit more research on that. And it opened to a great fanfare in 1885, and everybody said, "Oh, what a wonderful railway this is." Well, records show that by 1899 a tramway had been built, so it couldn't have been that successful, but it remains a very unique thing. And I'm now going to go down into the station, and we'll have a look round and talk more about the railways there. Well, I managed to find a couple of prints. Actually, I found more than that, but trying to work out whose copyright, and what permissions you can have to use them is like a minefield. But I found two, and I have acknowledged both of them, as you will have seen. This gives you some idea of what the Telfridge was like. Very easily seen, it's a forerunner of the aerial cableways that we're all familiar with. This is another view of it as it would have gone across. You can imagine the Glynde River in the middle there, and across to the pit at the top. Like I say, it only lasted a few years. I have actually found out that there was another Telfridge, and that was a demonstration, and that was up near Hitchin. Whether that was before this or after it, though, I'm afraid I couldn't tell. National Village Cricket Champions 2009. As I said before, Glynde and Beddingham are now considered a joint parish. And I think the cricket ground is probably over there somewhere. But I'll keep filming while I'm walking off the bridge. Looks as though it's been recently refurbished, this bridge, but there's no date on it, so yes. Now, you couldn't get more traditional than that, could you? And what a lovely situation for a village cricket ground. And I wish the sunrise had happened, because the sun would have been shining right across there by now. But these are the trials and tribulations of a walkumentary filmmaker. We have to take what's thrown at us, because once you're out, you might as well stay out. Though I fear it might start to rain before much longer. So I'm going to try and get my filming wrapped up as quick as I can, and then go home for some breakfast. There's a lot of building work going on here at the moment. I thought I'll just park up in the yard here, and then you get these little signs up there. Pay here with Just Park. It says park within the marked bays. Well, you never know if they've got secret cameras dotted around anywhere. There probably are up there, I can see one. So I'm not, I've left it just up at the entrance there, so it should be alright. Excuse me. Now, here is the old mill. Still in use today. I believe the people there that have got it, they make wrought iron staircases and things like that. So Again, keeping the ironmasters and the blacksmith work going. I'm just walking past the old station master's house. I had hoped that this gate might be open, but it obviously goes to a private place. We'll go on the platform and have a look. Yes, they call it station house now. It looks like there are people about, so I can't really film it. I will from a distance as we go round onto the platform. There's lots of renovations going on here. Yes, that's the station master's house.
What are you filming, mate?
Oh, hang on. That's what you sometimes get. People asking what you're filming, which is quite understandable. That's why I didn't film. One reason why I didn't film directly in front of the house. This is interesting. Set the steps coming up and coming down again. Well, this is not going to be easy now because what I'm looking over there is the back of the old Trevor Arms, and sadly that's closed now, but it was a good pub in its day. There's these placards on the platform. I'll go over there and have a closer look in a minute, but I think they deal with the chalk industry. But like I said, there were 3 railway lines came in here, one of which used to come in from this side, and if I walk past the station master's house, because I don't want to disturb the people in there, there we go. The mill here used to grind corn for flour, and round the back was a bakery. Now this is interesting. Quarry was used for making lime all through the war, and I think that probably refers to the First World War. This is a bit of a mistake. This gate shouldn't be open. You can see the remains there of the sidings, exchange sidings that used to get the lime down from Brigden's pit, the transport on wagons down to the cement works, probably at South Hoyton. And that is one of the 3 lines. We'll now go on the other side and talk about the other 2. Look at the old bridge there. The railways came to Glynde in 1846. It wasn't until 1935 that the Southern Railway electrified it. What have we got here? Oh no, this is quite interesting. This must have something to do with the school here. We used to go to Brighton for 2 shillings return, go to the Colonnade under Theatre Royal, beef and horseradish sandwiches. I think this is incredible. This is to do with the chalk pits, look. We ducked down behind a large stone, and there were no helmets or health and safety then. Kept your head down. Dad would light the fuse, and then it would explode and bring all the chalk down. This is interesting. The very first women's cricket club was formed in Glynde, and the world's earliest recorded match between women representing villages, the stall match. That was a good old Sussex sport. My great aunt was very much into that. Now, a time when the fat of the sheep was worth as much as meat for candles, the tallow was worth a fortune. Glynde is the place where the first Southdown sheep were reared. They used to go into the quarry with trucks. The engine used to push them in, but the engine couldn't go through the tunnel, so they had to push the trucks by hand. And they used to have a white horse. Dad fed him on a Sunday. They'd hook him on and pull up the trucks with that, because it wasn't easy on those rails. There's a train now standing on platform 1. Is there? I think she said the train now approaching platform 1. So we might as well. I'm looking to the east now as I walk along this platform. All hours of the day and night those notices go on. I suppose strictly speaking I am trespassing a bit here, but I'm not doing any harm. Now the Telfridge and consequently the following tramway would have left for the Galt clay pit along here. Some bird don't like me, that's for sure. Difficult to see where that was now. I'm looking for any sign at all. Excuse me. But there is none. Absolutely none. But if you look on the other side, you can see there's a gap between the rails and where the hedge and that begins. And I think there were sidings there quite recently, up till about the 70s perhaps, because that's where the old Balkan pit line come in, or one of them. And I think that was in action up until the late 60s. The pit itself, I'm told, was working in a very simple fashion until 80s. Good job I didn't want that train, wasn't it? Because it didn't stop. You'll notice the repeater just changed. There's just enough curvature on that platform to make it a necessity. Anyhow, I'm going over the other side. Look at that. At the house, 200 children under 5 here after war broke out. These really are very interesting little things on here. That one's of interest. There used to be a big bang that went off in the morning. He set off some dynamite in the chalk, and the workers knew that was their time to get up and go down to the pit. They had well over 100 people working in the pits at one time, which obviously would be in addition to the agricultural workers. I think way back in the 1800s or so, yeah, late 1800s. Houses were built here to feed the desire for quarry working, yes. Wow. They drew the lime, added water and it used to boil. My word. Unbelievable. Now, I never knew anything about the existence of these other railways until a year or so ago when I started having to travel down to Poole quite regular, and the train pulled in the station at one time and I looked over there and I saw that tunnel. What the hell was that? It's not a river, it must be a tramway or something. And the Balkan pit, sometimes known as the Poor or Newington pit I think it is, had two standard gauge railways that came down here. One, as I showed you, at the other end of the platform, and the other one come through this here tunnel down to this end. I've no idea why there were two. There were also two narrow gauge railways in there.
This view really asks more questions than it answers. If you look over to the right of that tunnel mouth, you will see some black spots there which seem to indicate that there is another tunnel entrance. And when you look at the brickwork surrounding the one that you can see clearly, that is a later addition. You can tell that. It is like it's been grafted in there. So did they blast a way through and build a new tunnel under cut and cover? Was the other one the one that was too small to put a loco through? And did they put that one in and then lower the track underneath it so they could actually get a locomotive under? I can find no details about that whatsoever, except that when we get up the top, I was quite surprised to find it looks as though it's been filled in, but more of that later. But as you can see, this is a complete mystery. Why was that an extra addition? How was it built? What was the reason for it? If any of you know, please tell me.
But it used to come out here.
Our timetable changed on Sunday the 2nd of June.
Yes, I know it did.
Make sure to check and plan your journey at nationalrail.co.uk. For further information on the changes and for access to downloadable timetables, please visit southernrailway.com/timetables.
Unfortunately, it's also overgrown now, but you can see where it came round and down, and there almost appears to be a platform edging down there, where I'm guessing the line came right against the platform. Just get these odd survivors like that tunnel there and the bridge in Ranscombe Lane for the Brigden pit. I can't see any other evidence here, except there's obviously a platform edging. And they must have joined up to the main line to the west there. Right, that's it for now. So that's the entrance to the Balkan pit. Looks like they're building on there now. And that, I believe, had limited use until the 1980s. Shame about the Trevor Arms. There's the frame for the pub sign. But this tunnel, I've lost my bearings now. Where did it go? Where did it go? There's something down there which suggests that it's underneath here. But apart from that, there is absolutely no trace of it. Oh well. An interesting survivor though. But yes, having a look round, I wonder if that was if steam locomotives would have been used at one time. So maybe that was a bolt hole for some of the smoke. Certainly a very interesting extra bit of history, which puts a rather unusual twist on a sleepy Sussex village, doesn't it? There you go. I'm wondering if that's another old school building. I'm filming from the car here, obviously, because of the safety reason. 1884. Perhaps that was another old school building. And I can just pan round there. We've got more estate workers' cottages, or what would have been estate workers' cottages. I don't know what that is on the side of the wall there. That's a date. 1807. And all the way down this bit of road and up the road to the hill on the left, we have more of their cottages. But right now I think it's time to wrap up my visit to Glynde. Hope you've all enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next video. The surprise I mentioned in the last video was of course about the pits and the railways, not something you would expect.